Good evening. I would like to call the September 9th, 2025 closed session City Council meeting to order. I would like to point out that this meeting is being hosted through a live stream on the city's website, and I want to remind the council to have their microphones turned on and positioned so the audience can hear. City Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Clark.
Present.
Councilmember Lodge.
Here.
Councilmember Males.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa.
Here.
Mayor Peterson.
Here.
All members are present.
At this time, members of the public may only comment on an item appearing on the closed session agenda. Please adhere to the following when addressing the council. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes or less. Comments should be directed to the council as a whole and not directed to individual council members. City Clerk, are there any registered speakers?
Yes, they are.
We do have some speakers. Mayor, before we call the public speakers, staff did have a request to add one item to the closed session agenda. It would be an additional item under significant exposure to litigation, 6C. We would need a 2/3 vote by the council to add that additional item to 6C.
May I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to add an additional item to closed session.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Krupa, a second by Councilmember Lodge. We'll do a roll call. Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Lodge.
Yes.
Councilmember Males.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa.
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0 to add this item to the agenda.
Thank you. The first speaker we have, Mayor, is Kathy Schmidt, who has been donated time and has a total of 9 minutes to address the council.
Yes, thank you all for allowing me to speak today. My name is Kathy Schmidt. I live at the terminus of South Cornell Street. I own 74 acres of bare land that borders the Mesa Grande at its northern border. I agree that the Mesa Grande property is best left as open space and would be a great addition to Simpson Park. But it's important that the city of Hemet know the Mesa Grande history and what my neighbors and I have experienced. There is no public access from Cornell Street to the Mesa Grande property. I had to sue the current owners of this property to clear the cloud they put on my title in their attempt to get control of that easement off of Cornell to the Mesa Grande property. This is an old farming road that is no more than 1 car in width. I won my case in court and in appellate court, firmly establishing that I own the road, that it's not for public use. It cannot be widened or changed in its course unless I give permission. And I have the right to keep a locked gate across it at the terminus of Cornell Street. The only other access is off Rawlings Road, a road that it's not up to code and cannot be improved. The access up Vista del Val and Rawlings Road is too steep, curving, and narrow to accommodate firefighting equipment. And due to the high fire hazard, the Mesa Grande property in the past has always kept disked. Over the past few years, the problem with trespassers and homeless people has skyrocketed to the point that our neighbors had a community meeting to address this. I've had the Riverside County Sheriff's phone number on speed dial. They conducted a raid on the marijuana operation at the vacant house located on a separate 5-acre parcel within the Mesa Grande property. They've sent drones out to investigate homeless encampments, investigated the numerous episodes of vandalism to my locked gate, and sent out a helicopter at several police units to search for illegal shooters, and rousted out squatters from that same vacant house that lies within Mesa Grande. To prevent vandalism, theft, and further squatting, the owner of that house hired the same security service that patrols our neighborhood. Mr. Gay, the security guard, has been called out several times to investigate suspicious activity and to confront troublemakers in our neighborhood. Because of the high fire hazard, homeless activity is a major concern that sheriff's deputies have had to address on an ongoing basis. I'm grateful to be in the county and not in the city. as the county is very responsive and they are equipped to handle these problems. I understand that Hemet wants to extend bike and horse trails within the Simpson Park. If you should get Mesa Grande and extend it over to there, my current problem with trespassers would only increase. I already have to contend with bikers gaining access to Mesa Grande and coming through my property. Not content to come down the easement road, they make rutted trails across my land and circumvent my locked gate by further trespassing through my neighbor's property to reach Cornell Street. Added to that, they throw out their trash along the trails. Barbed wire fencing is no barrier to trespassers. Hemet would need to erect an indestructible fence along the southern and western edge of my property where it abuts Mesa Grande. I and my neighbors moved to this hillside area for peace and solitude. Hemet would have to mitigate the problems that the addition of this property to the park system would cause. There would be a constant stream of traffic up Cornell by people thinking it would be a way to reach the park. Preferably, we residents would like a private gate where Cornell intersects with Crest Drive, with access confined to the residents only. But these are county roads, not within Hemet's jurisdiction. At the very least, a prominent sign would have to be erected where Crest Drive and Cornell intersect to inform people that there was no access to the park via Cornell Street. Hemet would need to erect a fence sturdy and high enough to withstand vandalism and access to the border of my property with Mesa Grande. There is a gate now at the upper end of my easement road, but that would have to be kept locked and maintained by the city so that trespassers could not make their way across my property and through my neighbor's property. I will continue to maintain the lock gate at the lower end of the easement. If Hemet purchases the property, I ask that Hemet consider its neighbors to prevent future problems. I ask that I be involved in the planning, and these plans include fencing and a way to divert traffic away from Cornell Street. I would also need assurance via a binding legal agreement that Hemet would not subvert my rights to my road and my property. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Larry Hughes. Dr. Larry Hughes. Followed by Tom Foots.
Good day, I guess it's evening, afternoon, whatever. Honorable Mayor, City Council members, Attorney Clark, Mark. This is very passionate to us. As you can see, we're here. And as citizens of either the county or the city, we all want to be compassionate and kind to our neighbors. And as city leaders, your job is one of protecting us. And we've had trouble with protection on our properties, and so we've had to hire our own security company to patrol that. We don't mind doing that, it gets the job done, and we're happy to do that. But this property up on Mesa Grande is a beautiful property. They're advertising it as a place for, what was it, 40 to 400 homes. And if the city plans on doing anything like that, we're going to have a lot of egress problems from there and ingress ones too for us, EMS and fire department. And if they come down either Vista Del Val or Cornell Street, they end up on Stetson. That's a two-lane road that is so crowded when school is on. Most people take different side streets to get back and forth east and west there. And I know if any of you live in that area, you already do it. So we ask that if this is something the city becomes able to do and to get that we could get some kind of assurances that Cornell won't be a thoroughfare for the people that go up there. Anyway, I want to thank the city. You guys have done a great job. I know around my office building, which is on Cornell or not Cornell, on Costin in Florida, we used to have all kinds of trouble there with people making fires up against my building and leaving trash. And your police department has done a great job in straightening that out. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Next speaker is Todd Foots. Foots.
Hi, I'm Todd Fouts. Hey, San Diego Chargers, Dan Fouts. That's how you remember it. Hey, my residence at 27621 Cornell, my wife Debbie and I. And we've been here for 41 years. The CPA firm that I'm the CEO of and run has been in Hemet for 73 years. So we didn't come yesterday. We've made our lives, raised our children here, and we've stayed here when many of our friends moved to Temecula and other places. So we're committed. Just so you know, this area, if you elect to do that, I helped Kathy fund the lawsuit against the Englands. We had to stop it because they tried to take this 1919 farming easement and make it a regular thoroughfare, and so they lost. Even in the judge actually in the original case threatened to, that once the property Mesa Grande actually had direct access, which now they do from both Vista del Val and Gibble. So they both have access. Now their property touches those roads, so now they have direct access, and the judge said once they get access, then that easement could be removed. So I'm not even sure that you have an easement. If you bought it, you would even have an easement, but that's beyond this scope. I would ask you to look at the properties in a severe fire zone. It hasn't been maintained, as Kathy said. It used to be farmed. Now they're not plowing it. Nothing goes on up there. And with the homeless encampments, that our good security guy who's up there, he patrols every night. Every night he's up and down the hill. He's running people off the hill. We currently have a homeless encampment at the end of Descanso, which dead ends. There, every couple of days you have a pickup truck come up and they unload material and go up that way, go up into Mesa Grande. We don't know where they're at, in one of the canyons or whatever, but they're up there. And there's no way, try to fly a drone for us. We can't maintain that. So I would just tell you, with the cost, you may get a grant to buy it, but I can't imagine the infrastructure costs and the maintenance costs that this would be to the city over the years. Because that road from Gibble to cut in, because there's no existing road, but you might own the land then, but how are you going to put this road, a massive access road up there, is going to cost significant money. So that's the issue. It's already been said, Vista del Val and Rawling roads, which there's a lot that the Mesa Grande owns that connects, but that road is awful. And then again, the question with Cornell not being just a farming easement that was supposed to be a 2-time-a-year farming easement gives great access problems to this. The other thing is that what happens if you don't maintain the fire hazard? It's kind of like Edison buying a 100-year-old power line, and I'm going to run power down it. Well, you know and I know in the next windstorm, you're going to have a fire, and then you're going to get sued for $1 billion or whatever. I don't know if you want a tinderbox. And so my request, and along with our neighbor, you postpone this, set it aside another day under a master plan. You're looking at it where you can absolutely guarantee the improvements, the infrastructure, everything that's there that you can put in place to either have it as a park or if it is a building, if it's homes or whatever, but whatever it is, you have to build it right. Without a foundation and without all of the infrastructure in place, it's a disaster. It's a disaster for us. It's a disaster for the city, because then no one is safe. We won't be safe. There's no way your Hemet PD is going to be able to go up, down State Street, up Gibble Road, and unless they have ATVs or whatever to go up there, how are they ever going to maintain this thing? And so that's the only thing. I would say, given all those facts and you look back, is now the time for the city of Hemet to do this? Or in the future, as part of a master plan, whether annexation works or not, but working with the county or whatever you do, a master plan to have it focused right and done the right way with the infrastructure you need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker is Ben Cheeseman.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'd like to thank you for the time. I just want to echo the words of my neighbors. This has got a tremendous outflow. Even if you get a land grant, it's untenable the costs that are going to go forward. We already have vagrant issues. We already have unhoused issues. We already have, people that are drug addicts coming up, and that's not including open access. And it's only going to become exponentially worse. And I don't see a pathway forward, like Todd said, in the immediacy that will be possible. Of course, I was born in Hemet. I'm coming up on 50 years being here. I would love to see things beautified. I'd love to see things, but again, like Todd said, let's be thoughtful about this. Let's make sure the people that are there, including Kathy Schmidt and all the neighborhoods, that this is a good thing, that there's some kind of a master plan at some point, which doesn't appear to be now. We'd just like you to be thoughtful and mindful of that. Again, we appreciate the direction that you're going. Thank you for listening to our words. It does matter to us.
Thank you. Mr. Andrew Kochek, who has 3 minutes donated as well, so 6 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager, and staff. I appreciate being here tonight. I'm here tonight representing Hemet United. Over the weekend, just numerous phone calls. Obviously, I've been involved with this project from the get-go. I've toured the facility and the property up there. It's definitely an amazing part of our community and our valley. There's no doubt about that. It's a treasure that we have. I spoke to, I went down kind of each of the streets and the neighborhoods of our organization and people, and really resoundingly, people said that they applauded the city, your vision, the foresight, this idea of preserving and conserving these assets in our community, right? Because we have so many beautiful things in our community and space that we have, and then pursuing grant funding or park funding to get that, that's something that, every community, and we should have been pursuing a long time ago. However, as you heard, our community, in our residents, our county residents that are there, we're coming to the city, even though you're not our representatives, to hear us and to hear our concerns and what those are and why they are on that aspect. And a big part of that is that we really don't have local control under the streets and the neighborhoods that we're in. So you heard about traffic. Traffic on Stetson and those streets are horrible, right? Hemet fenced itself off Hemet Street and a portion that goes up. To call for service, it takes us so long that we're resorting to have private security on our community and our streets because we don't have response times. We don't have the service that we want in our communities. And the same thing goes for, there's so many T-bone accidents and accidents that are occurring on our community in the county region. It's a big problem for us. Really, we put it to that there's a lack of inconsistency between our government agencies that oversee our county area and what would potentially be a larger piece of the city. For these reasons, for a lack of plan, for the concerns that you hear, resoundingly, I was asked to come here and deliver on behalf of our organization, oppose a situation on this. And not oppose permanently, but timing and tabling this to an appropriate time. Our hopes, as growth comes down and again, supporting this idea of preserving and conserving our community, our neighborhoods, is local control. There is no master plan. When there's a fire, the Fairview fire came down. If there's more people up or bicyclists or people in our community, it causes more problems. And we ask and hope you hear us that we We, appreciate the local control. We appreciate the time to come out and speak to you directly about something. You understand our community, even though we're not under your jurisdiction. You understand our assets that we have, but you also know the history that we have, and that there isn't really a master plan between the county and the city that does any of that in that region. And so, we want the annexation to go through. We want there to be a master plan that ties our community together, that preserves these area and thinks through the circulation, and have, one public safety force to respond to if there's a security issue. And in these areas, it's very important. The same thing for transportation, a thoughtful process of access. We've talked about Gilbert Road. We've talked about, a trailhead on the Maddox property on State Street, potentially being a good trailhead to go up there. But, we know other people go up there besides people that are going up there to enjoy nature, right? We know the homeless problem. Up behind a friend's house on Vista Valle, there's people living in a cave, right? It takes one fire or one match or somebody who's not monitoring their homeless activity to start a problem. And the more we, attract or take steps in that direction when there isn't a master plan for service, I think it all, just in our eyes, is just not the right timing, even though we appreciate and support the direction that you're going in. We hope that hear our voices. Again, not everyone could be here tonight due to work or other responsibilities that they had. And we ask that this be pursued following that annexation decision, where if we are under one organization and master plan and a local voice and support from you, that we can move forward on these other elements that really rely on kind of that unified infrastructure, public safety, and really traffic and circulation or code enforcement that are in these areas. And right now it's kind of piecemeal that we're dealing with. So anyways, I appreciate bringing us forward and us to be able to talk to you tonight on this. Thank you.
Mayor, that concludes public comments.
Council will now proceed to closed session. Thank you for joining us. A report of the closed session will occur after the deliberations.
It's been. I'm sorry. Don't trip on that.
So you're going to just say, Chief Vargas, would you like us to tell a little bit about retired Hammond firefighter? Okay. We ready? Okay. Good evening. I would like to call the September 9th, 2025 regular City Council meeting to order. I want to point out that this meeting is being hosted through live stream on the city's website. I would like to remind council to have their microphones turned on and positioned so the audience can hear. City Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Clark.
Present.
Councilmember Lodge.
Here.
Councilmember Males.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa.
Here.
Mayor Peterson.
Here.
All members are present.
The invocation will be by Christian Tikas this evening, after which Mayor Pro Tem Linda Krupa will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
All right, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering us here today to serve our community. Your word reminds us in James 1:5 that if anyone lacks wisdom, they should ask you, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to them. So today, Lord, we humbly ask for your wisdom. Grant each of our council members clarity of mind, unity of the spirit, and discernment to make decisions that bring peace, justice, and prosperity to our city. Help us to put aside personal agendas and to lead with integrity, compassion, and fairness. Bless our city, its residents, and all who labor to make it a better place. May our actions honor you and uplift those we serve. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please join me in the flag salute. Right hand over your heart and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will move to the city attorney's report from closed session. City attorney, can we get a report out?
Thank you, Mayor. There's no reportable action on items 6A and 6B. The City Council was unable to complete their closed session on 6C and will be returning to closed session at the conclusion of today's open session.
Thank you. We will now move to the presentations. Our first proclamation for Patriot Day, a national day of remembrance, will be presented by Councilmember Clark to Chief Efren Vargas and members of Engine 4, and also retired Hemet firefighter Scott Hudson. Please approach the podium.
Oh, okay.
This is a very important day. Patriot Day, a national day of remembrance. Whereas on Tuesday, September 11th, 2001, the United States of America experienced an unprecedented act of terror that claimed the lives of 2,976 innocent people, forever altering the course of our nation's history. And whereas the country watched as Flight 11 struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York, Flight 175 struck the South Tower, Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, and Flight 93, due to the heroic efforts of passengers and crew, crashed into a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, preventing further destruction at a major U.S. site in Washington, D.C. And whereas more than 2 decades have passed, many individuals and families continue to feel the lasting effects of this tragic day. And we as a community extend our deepest support, compassion, and solidarity to all those still grieving or impacted. And whereas each year on this solemn day, Americans unite to honor the lives lost, including innocent civilians, courageous first responders, and dedicated military personnel whose memory lives on in the hearts of a grateful nation. Whereas in the days following the attacks, the American people stood together with profound resilience, compassion, and a renewed sense of national unity. And whereas we continue to pay tribute to the bravery, selflessness, and sacrifice of the firefighters, police officers, EMT, and civilians who risked and gave their lives in acts of unimaginable courage to save others. Now, therefore, Jackie Peterson, Mayor of the City of Hemet, along with the Hemet City Council, I do hereby proclaim September 11th, 2025 as Patriot Day, a national day of remembrance and service, and call upon all residents to mark this day with ceremonies of remembrance, acts of service, and moments of reflection to honor the victims, pay tribute to the heroes, and support those still affected, and reaffirm our shared commitment to unity, resilience, and hope. May we never forget. Chief Vargas, would you like to say a few things about retired Hudson?
Sure. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Efren Vargas, Battalion Chief with the City of Hemet Fire Department. And first of all, I just want to say that I am super grateful. I'm humbled, and I'm proud to be accepting this on behalf of first responders, which include, our law enforcement brothers and sisters, military personnel, dispatchers, paramedics. With me tonight, we have Engine 4, which is Captain Billington, Engineer Rosenberg, and firefighter paramedic Alec Bailey. Captain Billington is a current member of our USAR team, one of 8 teams in California. And to my left, I've got retired firefighter from our Hemet Fire Department, also a member of our Urban Search and Rescue Team, Task Force 6, back on September 11th. Himself and his team responded to assist with the search and rescue efforts, and he is willing to say a little bit something about his experience, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Great. Sir?
I thank you for inviting me to come down and talk about this. It's kind of mixed emotions dealing with this. In truth, after a while, you feel that we forget about 9/11. We know about it, but you forget about it. You forget about the personalized event of it, especially us being out here on the West Coast in New York, where they live that and they have the memorial there. A little different for them. But I remember that day. I remember waking up on the news. Hello, okay. On the news, the event of the World Trade Center. And I.
Hold it a little higher,
Like a rock star.
Like, oh, that way, okay. And I saw it and I woke up and told my wife, this is a terrorist attack. I woke Station 1 up because I was going to go on duty at 7 o'clock. And I told them, hey, you got to wake up and see this. This is what's going on. And little did I know, when the collapse of the first tower collapsed, our pages on our USAR team that we had went off and said we're being dispatched immediately to 9/11. And it so happens at the end we had 24 teams across the whole nation. We now have 28. And they rotate on which team is up on the bubble for the first response. It so happened to be our team. We were the first ones. So it didn't surprise me, but from California we sent us, LA City, I believe, and then Menlo Park. We all, at the same time, Air Force jet flew us out with fighter escort because the airspace was all secured. And they didn't know what was going on, and we had escorts because our government didn't really know what was happening. Is this going to be our attacks? Is we going to get our other adversaries going to do something to us? We don't know. And we didn't know what to expect. This is our first real big case for the USAR to go. I mean, we had 82 people, including our team. We had 4 handlers, rescue dogs, and they're valuable team members for us, and they really worked hard for us. Although it was sad because rescue dogs are finding live people. They're not cadaver dogs, but unfortunately, we had to make cadaver dogs out of them, and we had to take them aside because they got really depressed. You can see it, and we had to play with them and had to hide people and let them go find it and all that. And then luckily they had a incident doctor or a veterinarian that would look at the things, and we had some minor injuries and had to do some IVs on some of the dogs, but they were well cared for, as long as they're safe. But we worked 10 days on the pile. We call the pile. When I first got there, I went out there to go get it, and it took 2 hours to get there. The roads were closed. They had vehicles just scattered all over the place. When everyone left, they left. Roads, damaged roads and all that. It took a while. We had to move vehicles out of the way to get out there. And we got as far as we could, then we walked on foot. And we stayed there. I stayed 3 days there. And I didn't have all my equipment with me, which I would like to have. And unfortunately, one of the big things I have is we went 7 days without showers. No showers, dealing with all this, and no way to wash yourself. Not on ground zero, there was nothing. We had to accommodate property and use it for our forward base of operations. We had to accommodate. They were fine with all what we did. And across the street, we used part of that, and it so turned when the stock market opened up. It was the American Stock Exchange. That was their back part of their back door, and they said use whatever you want to use and all that. So they did that for a while. But you know, it's an experience. Our team worked really hard. I was a safety officer, and I worked really hard to try to keep them safe. One of the biggest issues was dealing with the dust and that. And I put in the proper mask. We didn't have the right mask to start with, and get them going on that. And I had 2 doctors on board. They already had doctors there, so I put these doctors to look at our respiratory protection and make sure everyone wears their mask. When we left, we didn't have the 9/11 cough that a lot of the other people or other teams had. We didn't have any major injuries. We had going in some of these voids. We had like Ohio, for example, had one, and they set off a flash explosion that was trapped in there. We smelled ad gas for like 7 days. You smelled the gasoline all penetrated and everything. They exploded. We had a team go in and came across some type of unknown hazmat, and this was affecting their skin and stuff, so we deconned them and got them checked out. But we didn't have anything. Later on, we did have 2 people that retired due to the emotional issues of being there. And then, and for the most part, we ran everyone through a doctor eventually and a psychological testing eventually. But it was something, it was good. And then nowadays, back then we were designed for earthquakes and things like that. Now we're like an all-risk deal. We go to earthquakes, tornadoes, floods. When the 2003, when Columbia challenge crashed and it scattered parts over 7 states, the USAR team was put in place to try to find those missing parts. So your USAR team does more than just search and rescue in earthquakes. And they're very well trained. We're great as a team. Our team, I assume it's still the same. We do a physical, we do a technical search and rescue. Yeah. And but it was good. I led the people good. They got 5 teams, and they all go different directions. It's kind of hard to keep track of everybody, but I do have some safety orders that I put down and all that. So I had a good time, and for the team, it's good. We like, as firemen, you're in the job to do your job. We don't like the circumstances, but we like helping people and doing our best job. I can talk all night, but here you go.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your service. Thank you.
For our next proclamation for the United States Air Force 78th birthday, I will be presenting to Air Force veteran Russ Flair. Russ? United States Air Force 78th birthday. Whereas on September 18th, 1947, the United States Air Force was established as an independent military service under the National Security Act of 1947, after decades of evolving aerial warfare roles with the U.S. Army, beginning as early as August 1st, 1907. And the Air Force traces its lineage through a series of predecessors, which include the Aeronautical Division, Signal Corps, Aviation Section, Signal Corps, United States Army Air Service, United States Army Air Corps, and the United States Army Air Forces, which collectively laid the groundwork for modern air power. And whereas, though both world wars and beyond, airmen have exemplified valor and innovation, from aerial reconnaissance in World War I to pivotal contributions in World War II, to the dawn of the jet age in the Korean War, the breaking of the sound barrier in 1947, the development of long-range strategic bombers like the B-52 in the 1950s, the introduction of versatile fighter aircraft such as the F-15 and F-16, and the close air support A-10 in the 1970s, and later advancements in stealth technology, unmanned aerial systems, and space-based capabilities. And whereas the Air Force's mission to fly, fight, and win air power anytime, anywhere reflects its enduring commitment to national security, technological excellence, and global readiness. And the Air Force has grown into a modern service incorporating active duty, reserve, National Guard, and civilian personnel operating across air, space, and cyberspace domains. And whereas each year on September 18th, communities across the nation celebrate the Air Force's birthday, honoring the courage, integrity, service, and excellence of airmen past and present. Now, therefore, I, Jackie Peterson, Mayor of the City of Hemet, along with the Hemet City Council, do proclaim September 18th, 2025 as the United States Air Force birthday, and urge all residents to join in recognizing and celebrating the invaluable contributions of the U.S. Air Force and its dedicated airmen throughout our nation's history. Presented September 9th, 2025. And I want to say a little bit about this gentleman. Okay. Russ was in the Air Force, and he served from 1959 to 1967. He later went on to be a commercial pilot for TWA for 31 years. And now his youngest son now serves in the Marine Corps. Grandson, I'm sorry, grandson, yes. So thank you for your service, and thank you for your family service. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You want to say anything?
No, I was proud to serve in the United States Air Force in my country. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to get a picture here.
Thank you.
Our final presentation item has been removed at the request of staff. We will now move to public comments. There is a 3-minute per person time limit for all general public comments on non-public hearing items. All who wish to speak, including council members and staff, need to be recognized by the mayor before speaking. We will take public comment for items listed on the agenda.
Mayor, our first speaker is Roxanne Partita, followed by Randy Butler.
Is it on the agenda?
These are off the agenda.
Off the agenda, okay.
Okay. Hi, my name is Roxanne Partita, and I recently had a phone call with Mark.
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
Does it move? Okay. Some of my concerns were rent control in the senior parks, travel trailers, which have to be put in storage at $175 a month. And I rescue senior dogs. I have 4, city allows 3. He indicated that they would be grandfathered in, however, the city could change the rules down the road. He also discussed a proposal where Dominagoni meets State Street at Gibble, widening Gibble to Fairview at the cost of $100 million. Who's paying for that? He also discussed the 12-mile stretch of Dominagoni to Gilman, and the city was considering making it a toll road, so we get to pay now to leave town. Mr. Preswick stated our property taxes would not go up. However, property taxes may change to align with the city's tax structure. With my research, I note that property taxes normally go up between 2% and 4%. Also, annexation often introduces utility taxes on services. The sales tax in Hemet is 8.5, county is 7.5. The current proposal for annexation would make us the 4th largest city in the county. The other 3 cities have freeway access. Hemet Rising keeps talking about this trifecta of Menifee, Murrieta, and Temecula. Hemet would actually be larger than those 3 cities. Again, we have no freeway. Within the current annexation of 34,000 acres, this would add approximately 46,000 residents to this valley. How are we getting out of town? We do not have the infrastructure. The city of Hemet does not offer a first-time buyer program or a low-income program to help people purchase these proposed homes. This effectively keeps the poor poor and the rich get richer. I purchased my home 40 years ago on a first-time buyer program from the county of Riverside, and I still live in it. I understand that the city of Hemet possibly may be negotiating a 400-acre piece of property in the county of Riverside. This is the same property that would be in your annexation proposal. This, to me, feels like a conflict of interest. In the least, it gives the appearance of impropriety, and it seems unethical. Maybe some of the council members need to recuse themselves. Hemet Rising stated they have no benefit to this annexation. I'm not comfortable with that. I don't believe it. The KPC Group is a worldwide conglomerate funded by the Dr. Chadri. He's involved in healthcare, real estate, and pharmaceuticals. He also, with Hemet Rising, who stated they have no benefit in this, are the ones pushing for this on annexation. It's pretty simple, follow the money. I am not willing to risk my financial well-being in order to finance a greedy millionaire's pet project. I think the city council members need to really think about what they're doing. Thank you.
Next speaker is Randy Butler. And then Mayor, just to clarify, we had no speakers under 14A, so we went straight to 14B.
Okay.
My questions are also about the annex. According to the website, the Hemet City is 92 square miles with a resident count of 95,000. There are 90 police officers. That makes 1 officer for every 10,000 people and 5 full-time fire stations. My questions are, how much money does the city have in the reserves to approach the project of annexation? I'm talking about Val Vista. What's the approximate square miles the city will gain through this annex? Have you taken the survey of residents of the annex area? How do you plan to address the homeless, the drugs, the gangs, and the additional crime if the city takes over Val Vista? Also, how many police officers will you hire for our area, and where will the substation be? How many fire stations will you build and staff before you take over the annexation of Val Vista? And then how long will the annex take? And how long before all necessary staff will be hired? Thank you.
Mayor, the next speaker is Julie Parker. Ms. Parker has 9 minutes.
Good evening, Hemet City Council. I represent the Board of Directors of the Homeowners Association of Mountain View Park, a 55-plus mobile home park in the unincorporated area outside of Hemet city limits. Mark Baskett, president of the HOA, drafted the following information after the Hemet Theater meetings by Hemet United/Rising on July 29 and July 31. Meetings were advertised in the Press Enterprise of June 23 and July 14, 2025. I will speak on the issues of rent control, management of the city of Hemet, and the lack of candid information about the intended proposed annexation. I like my neighbors. Just because you may like semi-rural living, like animals near you, ride a horse, have lived long enough to retire, want affordable housing, or make less than the average income in Temecula, I do not view you as a deplorable or less deserving of respect or of the local control needed to make your own lifestyle choices. Believe it or not, half of all people will always make less than the average income, and they all deserve competent government designed to serve their needs, not just the desires of, according to Dr. Chaudhry, a small group of unincorporated residents who firmly believe that their personal and professional lives would be much better as citizens of a united Hemet. I believe that affordable housing, county rent control, and compassion for those families whose budget have been strangled by inflation, the highest tax rates in the nation, and barriers to new construction all matter. I think that rising rents that push seniors on fixed incomes living in mobile home parks out into the streets and add to our homeless population are venal and cruel. And I couldn't care less about wanting to live in the fourth largest city in the county. Ways to increase property value so that rents can be raised, or even attracting high-end shopping centers. Yes, a closer Costco or a Trader Joe's would be nice, I think, but not at the cost of higher rents and increased homelessness and much worse traffic. I do not think that the poor this is my second point. I do not think that the poor governance choices, lack of good planning and practices, incompetent and unstable planning and financial management in Hemet city government that seem to have left this city in nearly constant financial jeopardy justify a fanciful and unsubstantiated belief that the diversion of more of our county tax funds into their hands can substitute for fiscal planning and restraint. Nor does it justify breaking promises and redirecting Measure U funds, or raising taxes to pay for municipal infrastructure costs when, surprise, surprise, tripling the land area to be served in an enlarged Hemet, attempting to double population, doubling or even tripling traffic flow, exacerbates the already unsustainable conditions within Hemet governance to the point of failure in basic services. Please see the Citygate report of the August 12, 2025 Hemet City Council work study, wherein over $98,000 of funds, employee time, and other resources were expended to tell us what we already knew. Hemet is badly managed, so badly as to be unsustainable. According to the outside consulting report, and not likely to become capable of well managing even their current obligations to city residents within the next 2 to 5 years, without drastic changes in structure, better policies, and management systems, and substantial additional well-trained personnel. That is just to manage current conditions, without even considering the impact of a drastic annexation to that basic service load. Suddenly, if annexation passes, then just a few years from now, local government will be aghast to discover that building high-density housing close to new and improved roads to be built, paved, and then maintained by our taxes, when Southern California has a severe housing shortage, has resulted in more people living here, more traffic, more wear and tear on infrastructure, a need for expanded sewage treatment, more fire and police services, more water in our drought-plagued area, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then they had predicted thereby necessitating tens of millions in infrastructure expenditures. And guess what? The rising cost of services for the newly expanded Hemet will not have resulted in Hemet having those tens of millions of dollars in cash. So we will be told that we need to issue bonds to cover that construction, and lucky us. We will also be told that Taussig and Associates, the people I believe paid by the city of Hemet, and I suspect Hemet United, to do many of the studies needed to support the annexation proposal for submissions to LAFCO, also just happen to specialize in setting up and selling municipal bonds. And suddenly you have 20-year bond costs to pay, special assessment districts, etc. I expect that the current Hemet residents will therefore share equally, if not more, in the new resulting burdens with the annexed areas. Think about it, please. Number 3, we are told that an objective of the annexation proposal is local control. If there were even a modicum of truth in that assertion, then there would be first and foremost a concerted effort to publicize what is being attempted. In all local media, with city-sponsored town hall meetings, presenting all sides of the issues, not just the proponents of annexation, along with mailers to and surveys of the residents of the targeted areas. However, currently, when we protest this proposed annexation, nearly half of the people that we talk to don't even know that this annexation effort exists. These steps would be followed by a public survey mailed to all voters in both Hemet and the targeted annexation areas to ascertain the concerns, wishes, and sentiments, not only of the targeted citizens, the targeted county citizens, but of the Hemet residents who will see their traffic and services likely substantially degraded by nearly tripling the total areas to be served without a proportional increase in funding. I like my neighbors, and since I retired only about 100 feet outside of the city of Hemet city limits, that also includes the wonderful residents of Hemet. I like you. I just don't want to be forced to share your local poor government. Thank you.
Larry Butler Sr. Followed by Walter Plesnick.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Pro Tem, and council members. I have a community concern. I want to raise a concern regarding the potential use. I'm sorry. I want to raise a concern about potential use of K9 searches on the residents' vehicles. Recently, I discovered K9 here inside my vehicle. While I cannot say for certain how it got there, it raised a serious concern. If law enforcement is conducting K9 searches on parked vehicles without the owner's knowledge, consent, or warrant, that can undermine both our constitutional right and our community trust. I believe residents deserve clarity. What is the police policy on K9 searches of vehicles, particularly when they are parked and unattended? I respectfully ask this council to review the department's policy, ensure proper oversight, and provide transparency. And provide transparency. Thank you.
Next speaker is Walter Plesnick, followed by Jenny Hess.
Good evening. I'm pleased to be able to address such an august body. People that I know have given their time and talents to this city beyond what we will ever recognize. But I think of Joe and Linda and Mark, and most recently I met Ben Sandoval, nice addition to the team. I've lived in Hemet since 1984, lived in many cities, many states, and you carry me out of here in a wooden box. Well, actually, I'm going to be cremated. So carry me out of here in, what do they call those things? Urn, yeah. So anyway, this is, 3 minutes is not long enough to tell you why I love living in Hemet. And so I'm just going to go right to one of the main things and just say, if people were to get involved as volunteers in organizations in this town, they would have a new understanding and a new appreciation for what a fantastic place we live. And in addition to teaching full-time for many years, since 1984, when we moved here, I made a point to volunteer with Kathy at the library and at the church and several different organizations in town. Been in the Ramona Play, the outdoor pageant. Can't call it pageant anymore, can we? Is that okay? Pageant? Used to be the pageant. I don't know. And just so many good things going on here. One of my favorites is the Hemet Concert Association. And so I wanted to sort of introduce the Concert Association to the people who haven't lived here in Hemet long enough to get to know us. And so we have started our 52nd season in October. October 12th is the first concert of the season. We invite groups of varying musical abilities, singers and dancers, instrumentalists of all kinds. Most of them have done world tours, and we're happy that they will come to Little Old Hemet. We don't pay them what the other venues pay them, I'm sure. But we have a good reputation in the music community. And we do 5 concerts a year, 1 in October, and then we hit it hard, January, February, March, and April. We have a cross-generation appeal, and I'm going to, if I may, approach the dais to give a concert, give it to the man. Okay.
Thank you.
No strings attached. But actually what is attached is a season ticket. I'm the concert manager, so I have the authority to give a season ticket to people that I think deserve it. And you guys deserve some treats. Coming to our concerts will be a real treat for you. And I'll take any questions if you have any. I have extra brochures for people in the audience, and I'll be at the door to hand those out as they leave. Thank you for your time.
And Mayor, just so it's on the record, the city has a ticket distribution policy. Those tickets will be given to the city manager and distributed according to that policy. Ms. Hess has 6 minutes, followed by London Butler.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor. It's been a while. I tried to give you a break. Jenny Hess, unincorporated, Riverside County, East Hemet. Since I'm not on any boards or a member of the Hemet VIP elite, but I am featured on the hottest local podcast, I thought this was my best chance to come up here tonight and clear some things up with you directly as a party to the annexation, but also as leaders and decision makers of the city in general. I come from CD1, California District 1 in the great city of Los Angeles, California, not Orange County, contrary to the podcast. I bordered CD3 where I watched a awful human being of a council member destroy our city irreparably. He's still serving time for that, thank God. But the damage is done. My point in sharing this is I come here to this town with awareness and knowledge of how easy that can happen. Just one person or a couple people can make decisions that ruin things for everyone or make them better. Running the business of a city, whether you're in LA with 4 million people or in Hemet or anywhere else, is naturally subject to conflict because that's how good things happen. Just because I'm against annexation, I want to state here tonight, I am not anti-council and I am not anti-city. You're welcome for showing up and telling the truth sometimes, and I thank you also for doing what you've been elected to do. In fact, I think I personally got 25 to 30 people to fill out your surveys because I found that very value added, and I thought that was amazing. I attended your culture night, and I tried to get involved. I spend a lot of my money here in the city because I don't care about the golden trifecta of Temecula, Murrieta, and Menifee because they're crowded and I don't like it, and that's why I moved here. There is a community member just as incorporated as I am, unincorporated as I am, who has taken upon himself to speak out on many topics that make it almost seem like he's an honorary council member. I've been asked about that. Some of what is said is dangerously irresponsible and damaging to all of you, quite frankly, and I want to address that here tonight. Most recently, it's the laws governing the public's right to information, public requests for information, which are there, as you all know, for very important reasons. And to hear someone who has very much aligned himself with the city council and its decisions make public statements that people are barraging the city council and it's a waste of time and we shouldn't do that. How does he know anyways? How does this person know how many public information requests we generate? It's very disconcerting. It's not a good look for the city, and it's not a good feeling for me. And I can tell you I'm not alone in that. By the way, the more transparency is, things like that tend to go away. Things like ad hoc committees or meetings or town halls, and not the bare minimum of a few links on a website that no one can make sense of, because everyone who said stuff here tonight, if they dug for like 5 hours, would find some of the answers, but that's not what the request was. The local control people are seen as retaliation and bullying. Who are we to disagree or question? So I'm going to ask you to consider how those optics reconcile with this desire to grow and turn into a bigger city. Yet we are here annexing on a petition for 5% of a population, which is now maybe 2.5% of what it was back 3 years ago when this petition was first started. We have podcasts that don't even need to mention the opposition if the strengths of annexing are so strong. When I buy a ticket to see Dolly Parton, it doesn't say Lainey Wilson sucks at the bottom. You don't need to do that. You can just sell the ticket to your show based on your own capability or reasons or what have you. This messaging is wildly threatening to the community. I assure you of that. I'm here to ask you to please ensure that your city agendas are most important to you over personal agendas, whether they're yours or anyone else's, and demonstrate to this community that it's perfectly acceptable to enter into natural conflict when we don't agree with something. Thank you.
Mayor, the last speaker we have is London Butler. Perhaps Landon? It's London.
Hi, my name is London Butler, and I'm in the 8th grade. And I lived in Hemet my whole entire life, and I wanted to bring the city council attention to the road on Harvard in Devonshire on the side of AMR. The road is horrible, and I wanted to bring the attention to the city council to see if they can help fix the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, that concludes our public comments.
We will now move to the public hearing. The City Council's procedure for public hearing will be as follows. Staff will provide a report and clarification of items presented. The public hearing will be open for comments for those in favor of or in opposition to the item, followed by rebuttal to any comments made. The public hearing will be closed, and the city manager may respond to any questions raised by the public. The public will not have an opportunity to respond. Discussion will be brought back to the city council for direction or action. Can we get a report from staff on this item?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council and the community. I'm Monique Alanis Flater, Community Development Director. This is a public hearing for a zoning code amendment for Chapter 90 signs to permit reduction and relocation of existing static outdoor advertising displays. At a duly noticed public hearing on May 13th, the first reading of the ordinance Bill 2058 was considered by the City Council. At that meeting, the council made a motion to create an ad hoc committee to include the Mayor Peterson, Council Member Howard Clark, to consider recommendations from the Planning Commission and provide a recommendation to the City Council. The City Council was appointed to review the recommendations from the Planning Commission that were included with the first reading of the ordinance presented to City Council. The Council ad hoc recommends a few changes to the ordinance. One of the first recommendations that the Planning Commission had indicated was that as part of this ordinance, the compensation to property owners who currently receive lease payments for static billboards located on their property would lose the source of revenue once their static billboard is removed, and that they would be allowed to participate in a profit-sharing agreement. This was considered and not recommended as part of the ordinance. The predetermined ratio, as previously identified in the prior public hearing, we did present locations in the city where the existing billboards are located. There are approximately 13 billboards located in the city that could be considered for reduction and relocation with an agreement with the vendor. The ad hoc recommendation is that the replacement value would be at a 3-to-1 ratio. Our vendor, who we've been discussing this with, confirmed by the regional real estate director that a 2-to-1 ratio was approved by Lamar Corporation Digital Committee. This is not consistent with the recommendation of the ad hoc. However, the council could elect to alternatives to the zoning code amendment. The council may wish to approve the ordinance this evening at a 3-to-1 ratio with a provision that the ordinance become null and void if the vendor fails to exercise the benefits of the ordinance within 18 months through a net reduction relocation agreement or other alternatives. One of the recommendations from the Planning Commission is that the minimum vertical clearance height below the sign would be at least 10 feet and a maximum overall signage height not to exceed 30 feet. There were no concerns noted by the ad hoc. The digital outdoor display signs should be limited, as recommended by the Planning Commission, to locations on Highway 74 and the Florida Avenue corridor. The ad hoc recommendation is for the outdoor advertising displays to be located on Highway 74 and Domenegoni Parkway and Sanderson Avenue in conjunction with a minimum 3-to-1 ratio. At a future, sorry, I'm on the wrong slides. So those were the recommendations. And then at a future date, when all of the static billboards have been removed and replaced, the digital outdoor advertising display signs would become null and void and would no longer be applicable. Incorporation into the ordinance was an amortization language to read that the digital outdoor advertising display may only be constructed in conjunction with a net reduction and relocation agreement pursuant to Section 90-1285, and that the provisions of the ordinance would expire when all non-conforming outdoor advertising displays have been removed. And finally, advertisement content to be included with their net reduction and relocation agreement and revenue sharing agreement would be subject to City Council approval. The ad hoc recommended restricting advertisement content that includes adult entertainment uses, cigarettes and vaping, and massage parlors be included in the net reduction relocation agreements. Retail cannabis would be recommended to be okay at a 3-to-1 ratio minimum. The ad hoc recommended also that advertisement include public service announcements, including amber alerts, silver alerts, and feather alerts. It is respectfully recommended that the City Council open the public hearing, take testimony if any, as well as adopt the council ordinance bill with amendments as proposed, and to find the project exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA Guidelines 15061B3, or alternative recommendations. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I will now open the public hearing. City Clerk, are there any registered speakers?
Mayor, there are no registered speakers. However, I do have one correspondence to read into the record by said name, Robert Brawl. He's a property owner and a business owner in the city of Hemet, and he wanted to register that he had opposition to the ordinance number 2058 Billboard Relocation and Net Reduction Program. And that concludes the e-comments.
Thank you. I will now close the public hearing. I will now bring the discussion back for City Council deliberations. Council, do you have any comments or questions?
I do. Thank you. To be honest with you, I'm good with a 2-to-1 ratio. And the only reason is because these landowners, maybe this money that they get from their billboards keeps their livelihood going or keeps a roof over their head. Why would we want to go to a 3-to-1 ratio anyway? Is it just for greed or for, I mean, the city's going to be making all the money on the digital signs and taking away the money from the landowners. I'm getting feedback from people, from landowners about this and saying that, you know, that they live on these signs. You know, this is where their money comes in, you know, for them to live on. And, I mean, it's kind of hard to, you know, pull money from somebody just like that and not give them anything back, you know, while we pull their signs down. So instead of making it 3, I'd like to stay with 2-to-1 ratio, and it makes it easier on them. And, you know, it's, you know, everything that's going on, the annexing the property for, you know, the 400 acres of property, taking signs away from the citizens. You know, I'm just kind of wondering if we should kind of just slow it down a little. I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a representative from the Billboard Digital? Who's it, Lamar? Is there somebody here? Because I was wondering, could we just split it and go 2.5, you know, and just cut the difference, or go 3 on one and 2 on another one? That would be the best way to do it, I think. Is that feasible?
So the representative from Lamar has provided us the information from their corporation. They would be part of the reduction or the agreement negotiation. They are not here this evening that I'm aware of, but they are aware that this evening that the council is considering it. The council could also look at other options as part of this ordinance this evening.
Okay, and my other thing was, I was reading that it, minimum of 10 feet from the ground, well, it said in here, from the roadway,
Right.
road base.
Right,
So if we're going out at Sanderson and Domingoni, and that's what, 10 feet down first off the embankment, and then to raise it up, so it'd be a 20-foot pedestal? Is that kind of sort of what I'm?
Yeah, so the measurement is measured from the grade of the road.
From the grade of the road?
Yes.
So if we're going up to that corner, which is down, what, 10 feet?
Correct.
Just
It
ballpark figure. So it'd be a 20-foot before the sign itself?
It potentially could be,
yeah,
depending on the grade of where the
that's
sign would be
right.
positioned.
As long as my thinking was in the semi-right area. Okay. That's all I got.
Mayor, I do have some, of course. Well, I was part of the ad hoc. The Highway Beautification Act of 1965 was aimed at controlling outdoor advertising and regulating and preserving the beauty of America's highways. It also sparked the junk up in the air, which is what the city of Hemet, why the city of Hemet stopped allowing and just static quo. How many of the billboards does Lamar own?
Of the 13, they own 11.
Okay. So there are 2 billboards. One is owned by who?
One of those property owners is Harwin Parkersburg.
And the other one is?
The other one would be the Stella, the Riboli
Right.
family.
So there is, out of 13, only one that has enjoyed private. Stella Rose has, but it's not something they care to continue. So of the 13, one has personal. And 3-to-1 ratio, Lamar is going to continue to receive income, even with just reducing the 2-to-1, that one. And that's a lot of money. And if our goal is to clean up the junk up in the air, then I would suggest that we stick with the 3-to-1. Lamar knows that they want to have it here, and we need to stand firm and say that we are worth it. But as far as other people having vested interest, it's only Lamar, really, out of the 13.
Don't they get some type of income in from their Lamar signs on other people's property? They get paid for that, don't they?
They have private agreements that can be broken at any time, whether the ordinance is adopted tonight or not. If Lamar chose to break the agreement for any reason, they could today.
But right now, they still get funds, the property owners.
Yes, they have agreements.
Okay.
Private agreements, yes.
And if we go digital, they get no funds. They lose all their funding.
Well, the ordinance this evening would not change the circumstance. They would still have agreements, but they're not required to go into an agreement with Lamar. However, Lamar, it would be the responsibility of the vendor Lamar to facilitate those reductions with the recommendations of the areas that the city would like.
Have we
to be
discussed the
reduced.
3-to-1 with them?
Yes, we have.
And what was their input?
They took this to corporate, and corporate at this time, based on current today, would be a 2-to-1 that they would agree upon. However, that's subject to negotiation for further discussion.
Council, perhaps I can jump in here. These types of ordinances are very common throughout cities in Southern California. One option that the council, if you could not agree on the exact ratio here at the dais, the ratio does not have to be in the ordinance. That could be something that is decided on a case-by-case basis when the agreement comes forward to the city council. Just saying.
A nice range.
And how many digital signs do they want to put up?
At this time, they're looking at 2 potential.
How many?
2.
Just 2? So that's 6 standard billboards that'll come down if we go 3-to-1 then.
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
And of the 11 signs, so they're on somebody's property now. So none of those 11 go to any property owner, the revenue from them?
No.
That would be between Lamar and those property owners. That's a business decision between those parties. And then I just wanted to chip in with one more thing. I know I'm sort of giving some insight into how these negotiations can go. There's also, during these negotiations, the possibility of negotiating which signs are the ones that are relocated. If the city had a preference. Sometimes there are particular signs that are of significant community concern based on maybe their age, their location, their size. For Lamar, this is fundamentally a business decision. Some signs generate more revenue than others. And so lower performing signs in exchange for a higher performing location generally would be an area where they would be more agreeable to a higher ratio. Whereas if the city were looking towards the relocation of higher revenue generating signs, they would be looking for a lower ratio, if that makes sense. So if there are particular signs that the city council is concerned about, that would be something we could take into consideration during negotiations.
Thank you. A couple questions on, do we know what the distance is from ground level to the bottom of the sign for the Auto Mall and for the Western Science Center?
I do not
Since
have
they're
that
in the city
information.
limits, I would assume they had to go by some sign or part of our sign ordinance, and what would that have been?
I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe
Well,
Monique does.
I believe the Western Science is under a specific plan. I'd be happy to look into that. And the Auto Mall is also within a specific plan.
Okay, because it would
I
give.
do know the Auto Mall is subject to a specific plan.
Yeah.
One of the concerns with both those locations is ensuring that it is on-site advertising, and that's always going to be a communication between us and those entities.
Right. Well, it would also give us some visualization of what constitutes 10 feet and what constitutes 30 feet in height and 300 and 240 square feet or whatever it is with all of the nitty gritty in this. A couple other questions. In the ordinance, the term is used owned or controlled by the city, that the signs would be on property owned or controlled. What is that? What does the controlled by mean?
So one of the ways that this process can proceed that gives the city stronger defensibility to the content restrictions that sometimes the city is looking for is effectively a leaseback situation where the property is owned by a third party, it is leased to the city, and then the city leases it to the sign company. And so the city doesn't actually own the property, but it is controlled through the lease.
Okay. Another question on this is that the two signs that are not Lamar, I believe one of them is privately owned on private property. This does not impact them at all.
No, this ordinance would
So
not
they
affect
could keep their
them.
sign forever and a day, and this ordinance is not going to affect their income or anything else?
It would not.
Okay. What about the other sign?
So both private signs, so the way that the ordinance is structured is all not, they would still be considered non-conforming. The way that the ordinance is written is that when all of the signs are removed in the city, then it would be no longer, digital billboards would no longer be able to be added to the city.
Okay, yeah, because this is not the first time that we've kind of gone through this. There were additional billboards along Florida Avenue many, many years ago, and most of them are gone. But anyway, with getting back to this ratio, if it is a 3-to-1, that means there's a max of 3 digital signs that can go up in the community to eliminate those 11. If it's a 2-to-1, there's 5 that can go up, correct?
So if it's a 3-to-1 would be 1 electronic billboard for 3 signs,
Correct.
non-conforming signs eliminated.
Right,
So
but if you keep
potentially
subtracting
6.
3, that's a total of 3 digital signs, 4 max.
So with the 3, yeah, so with the 3 to, correct.
Okay. And before I get into the grammar of the of the ordinance, two other things. One is the advertising. I would put cannabis advertising in the same category as cigarettes and massage parlors and adult entertainment. But what is state and/or federal law on alcohol, tobacco, and all of these other advertising venues?
This goes back to the leaseback model, which is when it is on city-owned or controlled property. It is considered government speech, city speech, and so the city has significantly more control over the ability to restrict what items are advertised on the city's own property. So if what you're asking is there ample constitutional protection for those content restrictions? Yes, based on the anticipated model that this will proceed under, yes.
Okay, so then as if we are talking about cannabis advertising on this, it is talking about that advertising would be open to any business in the city.
Yes.
Including cannabis business, but not including any entity that sold cigarettes or a beauty shop that has a massage.
So I don't think that the prohibition would be on an entity that sells cigarettes. So, for example, if you had a local gas station that sold cigarettes, the gas station could advertise on the sign. It could not advertise cigarettes on the sign.
Okay, so that's actually it's a loophole for cannabis business because they typically only sell cannabis products.
If speaking completely frankly, from Lamar's perspective, cannabis businesses are probably their highest customer.
I'm sure they are.
Poor choice of words. Probably their highest revenue
I
generating.
just got that. That took me a while.
Sorry, their highest revenue generating customers. And so I think from a business perspective, that is a use which in the past they agreed to. And I've seen agreements where they have excluded cannabis. Those have been primarily on interstate oriented billboards where there was concern about violation of federal law. Those concerns have been allayed as time has gone on. And you've seen those agreements amended with those public agencies because of the significant revenue loss to the advertising agency if they exclude that. What you've seen in your place is what staff has brought forward here, which is a limitation in the form of a ratio, so that it is not just cannabis businesses that are being advertised. Ultimately, the goal would be to advertise all local businesses, city businesses, and so hopefully our local cannabis businesses, which will be coming online soon, would be advertising on these to drive revenue.
So that leads to the next question of digital signboards typically have anywhere between 5 and 10, maybe even more, different businesses that go flash as you drive by. Is there any limitation on the number of separate businesses that can advertise per digital sign? And then going into, is there any limitation we can put in on the number of cannabis advertisers in ratio to, quote, regular business? I mean, this is,
So I
then
think
we
that
get into
if-
deep pockets.
Right, and when we're talking about city-controlled property, this is fundamentally a negotiation. So we're gonna have an ordinance that allows the negotiation. But this conversation is very helpful for us because if the ordinance does go through, we're gonna have to go negotiate
Yeah.
agreements and bring them forward. And so please don't hold back your feelings on these things.
Did it sound like I was holding back my feelings?
I've
No.
never observed that, Mayor Patel.
No.
But yes, I think that it would be reasonable for the city to have a ratio, a maximum ratio of cannabis advertising on city-owned or controlled signage.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate that because, I mean, one of the intents, I hope, of this is to allow more of our businesses to be able to advertise off-site at a less costly rate than getting on a static billboard, because that can be cost prohibitive, which is why they don't do it.
Right.
And it's relatively inexpensive to do it on a digital billboard.
So, something I have seen in other communities as well, and it doesn't have to be part of the ordinance, but we're having the discussion, is a discount for members of the local Chamber of Commerce or some other similar civic organization as a way to encourage local businesses, like you said, to advertise on the city signs and give them that opportunity. And it's been very successful in those communities to get more local advertising and not just have cannabis and attorneys.
There you go. Yeah, it's those that can do and those that need the help can't. So I appreciate that. Also, now to get into Jackie's category here, there's some, in section 6, subparagraph B, lines 5 and 6, they're extremely confusing. And those are on pages 19 and 20 of the staff report, or page 23 of 163 in the entire document.
Can you give me that again? Section 6?
Section 6, it's in red, if that helps. It's, I think, part of the new section. It's almost like the sentence is not only run on, but it repeats itself. Page, what did I say? Page 19 and 20.
Okay, I found it. I've done it as page 25 for some reason on the online backup. Section 90-1285, relocation.
I believe that is what it was.
And then what subsection are we looking at?
Subsection B, for static or digital general outdoor advertising signs under condemnation and threat of condemnation, threat by any, it needs to be wordsmithed, by any legal entity, and then it goes on. That sentence in itself could probably be broken into two to three sentences, and then further down it says, the next sentence, a further purpose is to reduce or eliminate the city's obligation to pay compensation for the removal of static or digital signs when such, no, I take it back, that's not the one. But it's that entire paragraph that needs to be wordsmithed.
Okay, I'm reading it. I know what it's trying to do, so the language makes sense to me.
It's almost like it was a cut and paste, and it was pasted twice instead of just once.
Could have been. And so we talked about freeways earlier and lack thereof.
Yes.
A common purpose for this type of agreement is to get billboards out of the way when you are improving off-ramps, and to give them a place to go. I don't know if there are any existing non-conforming static off-site signs in the planned path of our realignment, but that would be the goal here, would be to ensure that if there were such a sign, that it could be moved under the provisions of this ordinance, and we would not have to pay compensation for the value of the sign. We would just give them an opportunity to move the sign. But we can absolutely revise that for clarity when it comes back to you for second reading.
And one other thing, on the advertising part, where in this does it state that city and community events for nonprofits can be advertised free of charge? It wasn't in there.
So,
And if
that
that's
is anticipated to be something that's in the agreement.
in the agreement,
That
a
comes to the
negotiating
council.
factor. And
Right.
that's something we need to bear in mind, that when events happen, whether it's a city-sponsored or a nonprofit sponsor or whatever sponsors, that these types of advertising can get digital space for free.
Yeah, so typically what the language of the agreement, and this is a good lesson for us, perhaps we could have attached an example agreement for maybe another jurisdiction, just to kind of give the council a flavor for what they look like.
Okay.
apologies for not thinking of that until just now. But what you typically see is an agreement by Lamar, or whatever sign company it is, to provide unsold space to the city free of charge for that purpose, in addition to a certain number of minutes per cycle that you get no matter what for those sort of public service announcements, event announcements. If there, additionally, if there were things like a water conservation program we were running, those would be the other kind of things that we could put in there.
Okay. That concludes my comments.
So all the public service are included in the agreement? Is that my understanding?
That would be the intent.
In the
And
intent.
and again, this is a good opportunity. If there are things that are important to the council that you want to make sure that we have in the agreement, now's the time to let us know, because it's very helpful when we're negotiating this to say, look, you can go watch the video yourself. If you want this agreement to be approved, here are the things that we're going to need. I did want to go back just 1 second, if I could, and just sort of advise the council on, what to expect. I can tell you, again, Lamar and all these companies, this is a dollar and cents business game. They come at this very dispassionately. They have really good data on what kind of revenue to expect. The lower our cannabis to other businesses ratio is, the less likely we are to get agreement on the 3-to-1, right? So this is all going to be a negotiation. And so one of my questions was, what's more important to the council? Reducing the number of existing static billboards, or achieving your content restriction objectives?
I'm okay with the 3-to-1 ratio. That's removing 3 statics for every 1 digital.
Is that a higher priority than achieving other objectives on controlling the sign?
That's tough.
I know it is. That's why I asked it, because then we'll know the answer when we're negotiating.
Mayor, may I speak?
Yeah.
Originally, I said nada on the cannabis. Nada. And Lamar came back, because I really don't think we have to advertise for pot. Hello. But that's a deal breaker for them. So I caved. But I do think the goal for what we want here in Hemet, which includes advertising for, like we've all talked about, the ones that can't afford static billboards. We just have to give in to something. And if it's cannabis, I think the 3-to-1 is important. But personally, I still don't want cannabis. And if I could reduce it, I would.
But
And so, to answer his question, I totally flipped it onto another nickel here, because I think we're more of a community than we are Palm Springs corridor. And I'm anti-pot to begin with. Oh, sorry. So I just don't see it as being necessary.
So
Okay.
So just to add into that conversation, it's similar to the conversation we had about cannabis dispensaries generally, which was, we've had a lot of conversation about the interactions between the city and the unincorporated county. The unincorporated county approved cannabis dispensaries and placed them on the border of the city. And also has approved under their regulations cannabis advertising, off-site advertising. So there are already cannabis billboards surrounding the city of Hemet, and with the way the borders go, most people don't know whether they're in Hemet or not when that happens. So to me, it's probably a foregone conclusion. It's already happened, and it was something that this city council unfortunately did not have control over.
So we have an option to do a 3-to-1 and 2-to-1, correct?
If you want to direct us to amend the ordinance to remove the fixed ratio from the ordinance and simply have it be a case-by-case basis as the agreements come forward, and maybe you say case-by-case but no less than 2-to-1, so that someone doesn't try to come in with a 1-to-1. That might be a way to resolve that issue. And then we can negotiate, well, what signs are we removing? What content restrictions are you agreeable to? And come forward with what we believe, based on this conversation, achieves the council's overall objectives in the most efficient way possible.
Has Lamar already agreed to the 2-to-1?
They have stated that they believe that 2-to-1 is feasible. They're always gonna push back on the ratio. It just comes down to the negotiation.
And it's a rather long document, but I think we had the option of saying that we wanted 2 of them 3-to-1, and then the other one 2-to-1, if they would agree to that, correct?
And that's something that now, if we have that direction, when we go, if you remove the ratio from the ordinance and leave it to case by case, that's something we could go to them with, which is the council's expectation is maybe to hit an average of 2.5.
Right.
So we'll want to see some 3-to-1s and some 2-to-1s and propose it. And what they will propose is they will take their lowest revenue generating signs and they'll pitch those for the 3-to-1. And then the higher generation ones, they will pitch for the 2-to-1.
But they're only putting 2 digital signs in, right?
They're putting in as many digital signs as you approve agreements
Oh,
for.
okay, so it's more than 2. I thought it was just.
It could be 0, it could be more than, it's gonna be,
So-
depending on the number of agreements you approve.
At this time, I would propose that we rewrite it to, there is no 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. We take it on case-by-case basis. And that's gonna work in our favor, I think. And then, once we get through that, then we can negotiate about the cannabis and ratio and all, and that part of it. So, Mark?
I just have one question. This is kind of like maybe unorthodox. But Monique, I don't know how much you've talked to Lamar, but I know Ben Sandoval has talked to Lamar a great deal. And I would, can I ask Ben how much he thinks they would bend? Is that okay, city manager?
Sure.
Sure, let's ask Ben.
Put it on Ben.
Because I know you've worked with them a lot.
Yeah, you
And-
have.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Yes, in the past, since ICSC, we've had some extensive conversations with Lamar in regards to not only locations, but bending. Originally, they wanted a 1-to-1. I came into a 5-to-1, and we kind of met in the middle, and they felt comfortable at the 3-to-1. So they went back, as Monique stated, to their department, and they came back at this current time. A 2-to-1 doesn't necessarily work, but it's not to say that the following year, the first, second quarter, we couldn't revisit the item to potentially do it a 3-to-1. So that is something that he wanted just to mention, that although today it may seem it's impossible, sometime in January to February or March it may be more likely. And to the Councilmember Clark's point, the cannabis is truly the selling point for them, as the attorney has stated. Bulk of those will be, let me rephrase, not bulk. You know, there's going to be some cannabis and other items, and to the Vice Mayor's point, we're very fortunate that on a daily basis, we may get anywhere between 30 to 60 ads at 6 seconds each. So that can kind of give an idea of how much space we'll be able to get on a daily basis to be able to provide that to our chamber members, nonprofits at no cost, essentially. Yes.
So probably the best thing would not to have a ratio in the ordinance at this time.
I don't want to step over the city managers, but if you were to ask me that question, negotiating gives us more flexibility. Or it's a 3-to-1. The next one, hey, it may be different. That's all I'm gonna say, and it gives us more leverage as time progresses, population changes. There might be new sectors that are coming that we didn't consider to add in to there as well.
Do you recommend staying with 2 to 1 and then next time change it 3 to 1? After we.
I think that the Councilmember, that's a great point, but I believe the goal of the objective was to reduce blight in our city, and I believe the 3 to 1 goal was originally the point not to to reduce blight. So 3 to 1 would be hopefully the goal, but it's not to say we couldn't go to 2 to 1 on the third billboard per se.
And that's what I was saying. 2 of them would be 3 to 1, and 1 would be 2 to 1.
Then that could be the third one we can negotiate. But if the council felt really good on the 3 to 1, I do feel revisiting it in early 2026, we may have a better shot in them saying yes. If you were interested on 3 to 1, which is the goal of reducing blight, we get 2 digital billboards, we get 6-second ads per. That's 10 ads every 10 minutes. I'm sorry, every minute. You can do the math. So they're going to be making quite a lot. On the city's perspective, we can generate revenue up to 6 figures on just 1 digital billboard when you include a yearly fee and a profit sharing.
Okay, so let's.
I'm good with removing the ratio from the ordinance.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Would you like to make a motion?
No.
Cheating.
Don't know. I do have one more question before I do the recommendation here. Is the item 3 under recommendation says find that the project is categorically exempt from CEQA. I assume we're talking about the ordinance, not the signs themselves.
That's correct.
Thank you. Because I know Lamar is hooked up on CEQA in a neighboring city, and they have been for like 3 years. So, City Attorney, you're going to have to help. I would make a motion to receive the updates of the proposed zoning ordinance amendment of 2025-001, adopt the city ordinance number 2058 of the City Council, the City of Hemet, adopting zoning ordinance amendment 20-001, amending Chapter 90, and all of the rest of that, with the removal of the ratio.
With the ratio.
With the ratio.
Period.
So because we're amending this, this will be our first reading, right? So I would recommend that we introduce for first reading ordinance number 2058 with the amended language that the council has directed us, which includes removal of the ratio and clarification on the condemnation section, and to set the item on the consent calendar for the next regular meeting for adoption.
Thank you. That is my motion.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Krupa, a second by Councilmember Lodge. We'll do a roll call. Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Lodge.
Yes.
Councilmember Mills.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa.
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0. And for the record, I do have to read that full title there. It's adopting zoning ordinance amendment number 25-001 to amend Chapter 90, Article 36, signs, to permit reduction and relocation of existing static outdoor advertising displays under limited circumstances, and to further amend sections of the Hemet Municipal Code to harmonize current sections with reduction and relocation language as amended.
Thank you. We will now move to receive and file. Are there any questions or comments from the council on the Warren registers and periodic payroll payments?
I have none. No.
There's no comments, so we will receive and file the report. We will now move to the consent calendar. All consent calendar items will be acted upon simultaneously unless requested by an individual council member for separate consideration. Are there any members of the council who would like to pull any consent items for separate consideration?
Mayor?
Yes.
I would like to pull 18F only for a good reason.
It better be a good reason.
Anyone else?
I'd like to pull 18E.
E?
Should we keep going?
Oh, you were going to pull it?
No. I'd like to pull 18A.
Anyone else? Good? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the remaining items?
I'll make a motion to approve the remaining items.
And a second?
I second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Mails, a second by Councilmember Clark to approve the consent calendar with the removal of items 18A, E, and F for separate consideration. We'll do a roll call. Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Lodge?
Yes.
Councilmember Mails?
Yes.
Mayor Protem Krupa?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0. Moving on to 18A.
18A, I just want to say that Councilmember Mails and I did the interviews for these 2 vacant seats on the library board. And I'm going to speak for both of us in saying we were very impressed with the quality of the people we interviewed. And I want to thank everybody that submitted their resumes for these 2 positions. It was really gratifying to see younger community members stepping up and volunteering their time. So I want to say thank you to Larry Butler for reapplying for the position, and to Jennifer Reyes for submitting her her application. And with that, I would like to move approval of 18A.
And a second?
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Mayor Protem Krupa, a second by Councilmember Lodge. We'll do a roll call. Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Lodge?
Yes.
Councilmember Mails?
Yes.
Mayor Protem Krupa?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0. Moving on to 18E.
Okay, my question is, we had Adami for about over 10 years, I think 11 years, landscaping. And was their bid that much lower than the new, it was? Or higher, I mean, thank you, than the new,
It was.
Brightview.
Brightview Landscaping LLC, who actually is falls under a bigger corporation, Brightview Holdings?
In the staff report, Adami came in at about $250,000 more per year than Brightview did.
Okay. Now, all right. Did Adami do a great job? Were they there? Did they get the job done? And
they did a decent job. With all contractors, you have your issues. You got to stay on them and keep on them and whatnot. They've done a good job. They've been responsive to stuff. I'm hoping this new company is the same way. I've already reached out to them, and they emailed me within 10 minutes of a first email. So far, they're off to a good start.
emailing and doing the landscaping is 2 different things.
I agree, but they're responding really fast.
They are, okay.
So,
yeah, I was just questioning it because it's a big corporation that's going to be doing the landscaping now, and I thought, the bid, $250,000, under Adami, it's kind of just questionable,
when you look at what Adami was back in 2020, they were about 480. So when you look at the step up to about 525, that's more consistent with a 5 to 8% increase in services over the years. So it does kind of fall in line. There were 2 others below Adami as well that fell in the 580 range. Adami came in at 753. So
wow. Okay.
almost a 45 to 50% increase, which was is a lot.
Okay. I was just wondering why we made the dramatic change here, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with Adami. I enjoy him, but unfortunately, I mean, there's no way we can justify.
Yeah, understood. Okay, well, I'll make a motion to pass 18E then.
I second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Mills, second by Councilmember Clark. We're going to do a roll call. Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Lodge.
Yes.
Councilmember Mills.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa.
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0. Moving on to 18F.
So at ICSC, or whatever that is, not only did Joe figure out that we're going to have a Freddy's custard here, and I think there's even a picture that shows his surprise, we talked to St. Nick's. Now, in the city of Fortuna, we had Christmas. Christmas was done very festively. We had all kinds of fun events, but no matter what, it was decked out. And that's part of the charm. And that was part of the charm for me as a kid in Hemet. So, we had all these ideas. Oh my goodness, we're going to get Santa. We're going to do all this photo op, and we still can do it. This is an investment to me. I feel it's an investment in Hemet and the future, and having an attraction. We have Weston Park. We have locations like Harvard Street. We have things that we are working on to move up and above. The only thing I would like to see was that bow on top of City Hall, because it was beautiful. And so I would like to see what the cost effectiveness is, because it's a purchase. We're going to keep it year after year.
Yes.
But I do feel like it's an investment in moving the city up and above. And they do a wonderful job coming in and putting it up and taking it down. And then they store it for us if we want it stored. So that's a big deal.
We haven't bought ornaments or anything for over a decade, so.
Right.
Yeah, so this
Right.
is good.
Very
So
good
I would
point.
like to see if we couldn't squeeze in that bow to sit on top of City Hall. I think that would be classy.
Is that all you want?
If-
I want, yeah, but it's got to be lighted and it's got to have streamers.
If you allow me, after where we're done, I actually have a art rendering to show you, council member. It would be sitting this little red bowl. Let me rephrase that, 5-foot bowl. It's not little, it's pretty big actually.
Yeah, it
right
is.
on top of where it says City Hall, right on top of, right
Yeah.
on Florida. Very beautiful. The cost for a 5-foot bowl, the exact same one you are referring to, council member. It's a great price, quite honestly, especially we will be keeping it. It comes out at $5,700, and we will be able to keep that bowl forever. That's and they specialize in these kinds of things on top of other items, other seasons. So that is the price that they've quoted us. To purchase, to rent would be more in the 2,700.
Yeah.
So
Well, in the first 2 years, it's.
we would make our money back in the
Yeah.
first 2 years having the
Yeah,
item.
it opens all kinds of possibilities. We could even have a contest of best, even homes, and have like the beautification. There are a lot of people that are crafty out there, and
Absolutely.
this is the kids. I'm a kid at heart.
And that's a very good point. And what I like about this, it also council, it includes installation, so our public works staff can sit out there and understand how to build these. So the next year we have it under our belt. So it would include a 1-year assistance and installation and breakdown.
Right. If I could add to that, I
Yes,
think
Vice Mayor.
the concept of this is to build on it every year until we get
Yes.
to where we want to be. Our budget did not, our wish list was far greater than what our budget
That's
was
correct.
for this year. And it included many things as far as Harvard Street and different buildings and the trees going down Florida. The concept is beautiful. Just drive to some surrounding cities and see what can be done. But we looked at it and said, let's start with this. And then each year add to it, because we haven't been adding to it. We've had the same ones on the street, on the poles on the street for many, 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 many years, and they're wearing out.
point,
But
Mayor.
to add a little bit more every year and just keep stockpiling, I think we will get to where we want to go.
Yeah, because this company's been around forever. I mean, the company's been around forever, so they're not going anyplace. So in building on that, that was the
They've been
whole-
for around, and they specialize in this. As for those that were able to join us out there, and I think the great thing is that they're willing to work with us in any way, shape, or form. They're here long term, and I think as the vice mayor stated, we grow this every single year. Sooner than later, we become a trend. It's on social media. Do not underestimate the power of social media, and I think you saw in the staff report, Instagrammable, having hashtags, having our name out there is really going to go a long way for especially the young little ones. Even myself, you might see me out there taking a picture every day, so it'll be great. So, good point. Thank you.
Any other discussion? May I have a motion?
Go ahead.
Let me turn on my, how about, I would like to see the resolution for St. Nick's Commercial Design authorizing Administrative Services Director to establish general fund appropriations in the amount of 30 or 35?
Are you gonna add that bow, 35?
Yeah, 35.
Why 35?
She wants to add
Because
the
that's
bow.
the bow.
Okay, but that was 5,000 more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it'd be
Mhm.
35,612.
When you combine the two, the first quote was 30,370. We got the 5,700. We're a little closer to 6,000 or 36,000.
36. Yeah.
And is there tax on that too?
This would be the full price, Mayor.
Okay.
Yes. They've already added the
Okay,
tax
so
to
what is
this.
the total price then?
The exact number, it'll be close to 60,000. Let me get here.
Did you say
Yeah,
60?
60,000 and $4.
No.
30.
You said
30.
60, right? Or 35, 36?
Oh, my God.
36.
Sorry.
Yeah, 60 is a big jump.
36,000. Apologies.
That's not what I'm saying. Just 30.
Yes, 36.
Okay.
That was on mine. Thank you, Vice Councilmember.
If we do 37,000, that would cover it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I get the change?
Thank you. 37 would be better.
Okay.
pennies.
And we can do 37?
I'll take it.
Okay. You want to?
I just did. You want a second?
I'll second that for
Okay.
37,000.
I have a motion by Councilmember Clark, second by Councilmember Lodge. We'll do a roll call. Councilmember Clark.
Of course, yes.
Councilmember Lodge.
Yes.
Councilmember Males.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa.
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. We will now move to the discussion action item. Can we have a report from staff on discussion item 19A, please?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Members of the City Council, Monique Alanese Slater, Community Development Director. This evening before you is a request for a letter of support for the Sierra and Oasis Senior Villas. The two facilities are located on Palm and Oakland. The two affordable housing projects were developed in the city. So Sahara Senior Housing, which is on the east or the right side of the screen, included 75 units of affordable senior housing, affordable to extremely low income, utilizing a HUD 202 grant, state home grant, and redevelopment agency housing funds, as well as the Oasis Senior Housing was approved in 2009 for 65 units of senior affordable housing. The Housing Authority granted $400,000 for the Sahara project in 2006 and $2 million for the Oasis project in 2009 for project costs. This was a deferred loan. However, this resulted in a 55-year affordability covenant for low-income senior households on those two properties. The Oasis and Sahara management reached out to the city requesting a letter of support, indicating that there's a concern that the annual rent increases are not sufficient to pay for the items needed to bring back the properties to decent, safe, and sanitary condition when first occupied. The Oasis and Senior Villas are seeking financing to upgrade the existing conditions and to replace the capital equipment that has worn out over time through the Project Rental Assistance Contracts PRAC to Rental Assistance Demonstration RAD program available through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Through this program, the property owners Sahur Senior Villa Inc., who represents Oasis Senior Villas, and Habibi Terrace Inc., representing Sahara Senior Villas, are requesting that the secondary and tertiary lender, the City of Hemet, continue to subordinate the residual receipts debt on a new FHA refinance loan. They are also requesting that the interest be on the loans be forgiven by the Hemet Housing Authority that was approved in 2006 and 2009, which aided in the construction of 140 affordable housing units. The rental program allows the 202 properties to be recapitalized and while protecting residents, maintaining a nonprofit control and extending periods that the properties must remain affordable. The City of Hemet is the successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency, and in 2012 established that the housing assets and housing functions previously performed by the Hemet Redevelopment Agency be included in that ordinance. A few years later, in 2015, as a result of legislation, there were changes to the Health and Safety Code, which resulted in local oversight boards that were part of the dissolving of redevelopment agencies to oversee successor agencies. Actions were replaced with countywide oversight boards, which would include the Riverside County Oversight, the citywide, countywide oversight board of the County of Riverside. With that, the current request is would involve coming back to the City Council with a restated loan agreement should the support letter be granted this evening. Also, this evening we also have Noel Schweitzer, with HDSI Management Inc., who was the developer and capital investment group for this, that can answer any questions that the council may have as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. City Council comments, questions?
Just a moment, please.
Real quick, I will. So they want us to waive the interest only, not the principal?
That is correct.
Okay, and by doing this, this will allow what again?
This will allow them to refinance through a HUD program to reinvest the capital improvements into their properties, as well as extend the affordability terms to ensure that this remains an affordable housing development.
And okay, so the reason that they want us to waive the interest then is for them to get that the repairs for the senior homes, and without us waiving it, they won't be able to do it.
It would improve their the financing for the loan. It can be included. It can be kept. It's an interest that would not be collected until the end of the term of the loan, which is a 55-year.
So 2026 or 2061 then.
Approximately 2060.
Okay.
Yes.
So okay, By then, $3.4 million will probably just be worth $100 or something. I mean,
So,
the way things are going.
so eliminate the interest would be $1,028,900. My calculations. It'd be over $1 million.
It is a non-compounded interest.
Right, so it's
Yeah, based on our estimates, it was 3.4, but that could be.
3.4.
Yeah.
3.4 on loan, yes.
Okay.
Had they been paying on the
No.
interest? I understand. So we've put out the money. We haven't received any interest payment. Have they been paying back on it?
I think the management companies here this evening that could further explain how the HUD financing works. They are deferred based, which is, is something also new for me to understand how those types of financings are structured. As I understand, they have not paid as part of the financing structure through HUD. However, Noel Schweitzer is with HDSI Management is here this evening.
Yeah, I'd like to know, yeah.
City Manager, did you have
I think it would be helpful to hear from the from the representative for the request.
Okay.
You'll need to speak into the microphone.
I'm sorry. I couldn't hear, so I missed some of your questions. But first, please, Mayor Pattison and council persons, let me thank you. I've been out here since 2003. Now, my buildings started about 2008 and 2010, 140 units total. I was able, for the nonprofit owners, to win approximately $18 million in HUD money. HUD has not been paid a dime. You haven't either in residual receipts. I believe that this new, I've worked for HUD I used to be on the Secretary of Staff in Washington, but I've worked for HUD for over 40 years. I have never, ever seen a program like what has just come about. I am discussing the last year and a half to 2 years. This is a program, your residents in the buildings, in the 75 and the 65 unit building, pay between $200 and $400 a month for rent. They are 50% and lower when they in median income when they get in there. This money, this Section 8, is project-based, meaning it stays with the project. Your housing authority has certificates, and you have waiting lists on certificates. They're given a certificate, and the government, but the certificate goes with the person. The Section 8 I'm talking about stays with the building. So you will have always 140 units available to affordable, to lower income seniors, 62 years of age and over. They are discussing now in Washington, I have no idea of the credibility, that they're talking about making the housing authority certificates only a couple of years and letting the certificate, again, low-income person, family, be go fetch after that. But these projects will be there. And if you've seen the projects, you know that a 200 of, well, the rent is based on 30% of their adjusted gross income. Adjusted means their reduction in costs if they have heavy medical expenses. Their gross goes down to a net from which the 30% is taken. The government now, and my belief is, the reason this program called PRAC to RAD has come about is because I believe, do not know, that the government wants its non-paying, and this is a non-paying assets off the books. So the 202, as this program, when I developed it, was known as, will be taken off the books, and instead a new FHA-insured loan will be achieved. This means through that loan, we will be able to bring to the city of Hemet between, I don't have a final number, approximately $2.5 million each to repair the project. Now, I think this is a great program, but most of the programs the Fed we're thinking about are in much worse physical condition. But this will allow a new roof, modernization of elevators, a security system with pendants. I don't know, we now have pull cords, but insurance companies don't want pull cords anymore. They want pendants, and that runs about $100,000 per project. Each person will have its own pendant. And there are a bunch of HUD is the program is set to expire September 30th. I have been working on it for about 2 years and trying to get paperwork into HUD that would allow for support to go to these 2 units. So we're asking for your interest. It won't cost you, we're not asking for any money. We're asking to bring money to you by permitting our senior projects, our 2 senior projects, to be improved to approximately $2 million each, which will not cost a dime for the residents. This is being paid for by the increased Section 8 subsidy if the government funds it from Section 8. So while in fact, I'm making it up, in fact, maybe at the moment, one unit because of income is being given $700. Well, if the program goes through, it's likely the government will give that same unit, and I'm making it up, $1,800. I'm making it up. The person will not pay anything more for it. A person living in an apartment, like I'm talking about, we recertify their income annually to make sure that the adjusted 30% is correct, and we're not taking money from the government or from the person. We have to go through tons of paperwork every year to make sure that that is the case. And that's how, and our books are reviewed all the time. Can I answer any questions?
You say that the city doesn't have to pay, they don't have to pay, but we end up having to pay because we're giving $3.4 million. We're waiving that, so the city does end up losing $3.4 million.
What is the 3.4? The loan? No. Your
No.
city loans stay in place.
The interest.
The interest we lose.
The interest is, not a dime has been paid to the HUD, and not a dime has been paid. HUD administers these projects so that they make the administrative costs, the operating costs. They don't allow for an excess, generally do not allow. You operate within the budget. HUD checks your budget every year. So it doesn't provide, HUD does not provide an amount to pay secondary financing, which is what your money is called. Because of your money, we were able to bring it.
Okay, so you've got $2,400,000, which was the original grant back in 2006.
Yes, we have $2 million.
Okay, so the interest
From
is
the city of
what?
Hemi, $2 million.
Right.
Right.
What he's saying
Absolutely.
is the 3.4 is the interest off of that grant that you're asking us to waive.
No, the interest right now, because I checked the numbers on this, the interest on Sahara right now, hold on, I want to be clear. Hold on. For the city's money, it's about $200,000. I'm rounding it up. For the home loan, which was a HUD loan, or another form of HUD, it's $655. That's for not the city money, but for the home money that you allowed to get. So that's $200 for the city right now, and for Oasis, it's $750. So that's about $1 million. I'm making it up, rounding it up.
Okay.
It's about $1 million now as to loan.
What happens to the 400,000 and the 2 million?
We get it, according to what
The
this
interest,
says.
the loan, that
No,
stays.
the principal.
The principal.
We get.
Oh, it stays.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it doesn't touch.
So
Oh, no, your city money stays. it again becomes a secondary position as it has always been. And we're asking you to roll over the secondary position to the new FHA insured loan. The reason people have choice here, you don't have to have FHA insured. My experience with HUD is I choose FHA insured. And I can tell you that because HUD, just as you would, for its own product, is more supportive. So if I'm able to raise, it's something like, making it up, a new FHA insured loan of, say, $4 million for each, just saying that, and $2 million of that coming back to the property. If I'm able to do that, that means HUD would be online for like $8 million more. And they're less inclined to throw us out than if they had other mortgages from Chase Manhattan Bank or United, whatever. So that's why we do the FHA loan. And I've been through the Northridge earthquake where I won't belabor you with details, but where that has proven itself. They gave me more financing quicker than they did someone who didn't belong to them. So essentially, we belong to HUD. We always have belonged to HUD. But HUD in return supports your community to 140 people, or possible couples too. Again, allowing them to just pay $200 to $400. That's what it's worked out in your community. And if you've seen the property, I don't know if any of you have seen it, but it rates at HUD in its review non-prejudicial. It's not my review. It relates at HUD at a 98 to a 99% out of 100 as far as being together, being a good property. HUD also does another set of work which does paperwork, but I'm not talking about that right now. That's another set.
Mayor,
so the project has rated well.
I think I can get to the crux of where the council's questions are on this. You're concerned about waiving the interest, and essentially what is the lost opportunity cost of that to the future council who might be expecting that. So a couple things to keep in mind. One, it's a residual receipts loan. A residual receipts loan only obligates the borrower to pay the city after they have paid all of their operating, maintenance, other costs. So it's speculative whether you would receive payment on that at all. And I've seen agencies not get paid that amount. Number two, this money was not general fund money that went towards this loan. This was restricted housing money. So even if that interest does get paid back, this is not $3.4 million you can use to go build a splash pad or pave a road or, buy a police vehicle. You're going to be restricted to future housing needs. And so essentially what you're being asked for is to forego a potential future opportunity to support a housing project in 2061 for the opportunity to support a housing project now. Does that help sort of clarify the decision point?
But we're supporting the upkeep of the project, right? Not a new project. but
You
the
are,
upkeep.
by foregoing the interest in the future, which again is speculative, you are allowing them to get better financing now on their project.
To remodel. Thank you, that's the word I was looking for.
And we would be third in line if any money was available, correct?
If any money was available after they paid all of their operating, again, you heard what the rent was here. This is not a business that is in the business of making money off of their tenants. This is a business that is in the business of providing affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
So they have that income coming in. They may have other income sources. They have to pay all of their obligations. And only after all of those things are paid and superior lenders are paid is the city, as the successor agency to the former redevelopment agency, entitled to repayment of those residual receipts. So I just want to clarify, this is not a situation where you are looking at for sure payment of unrestricted funds. You are looking at speculative payment of restricted housing funds.
Gotcha. I just have a question. In the change from the, whatever it is, what's the name of it? The PRAC to the long-term Section 8, does the qualification of individual people change?
No.
Let me finish this. In your waiting list, does that waiting list then expand to people outside of our valley?
Thank you for asking that question. I did check that. I had an opportunity while you were talking earlier. Just for your information, the waiting list at the moment for Oasis is 67 applicants, and and for Sahara, it's 87. Now, the turnover by volition is modest. Passing on or going to a higher level of care, this is not a care, is another issue. But that is the way a unit is vacated. You can get the averages, maybe you have 5 units. It depends on, you maybe have 5 units. We had more units last year, so I don't want to mislead you, but more people had gone on than usual. But it's usually 5 to 6 turnover units a year, and that's all there is. So we stop the waiting list at about, I try to stop them at about 70, because these waiting lists are closed. There's no way that we're going to be able to hit 60 and 80 people in a lifetime. You know, say a 5 unit, if we can do 10, that would be fine, but that means something serious has happened to the population. Right. And there is no change. They do not pay any more.
Are they local seniors, or are they out of this valley?
All right, the average for seniors, I'm talking generally, socially, is within a mile. People go within a mile. It's, of course, open to all. Nobody is restricted from living there. So when the waiting list is open, my main office is in LA. And so if this waiting list was open, which it isn't, anybody who walks in the door or asks for an application is given them. We do not discriminate where they're from, but generally you'll be from this area. It is not likely that people other than within the general area of Riverside County, San Bernardino, are going to be coming to Hemet. And seniors tend to stay within a mile given their doctors and their familial context. Now that's generally, that's not all this time at all.
Thank you. Just want to say both these apartment complexes are the nicest, I would say, the nicest ones in town. Have been since they were built, and if you haven't been past them, you really need to go look at them. It's time for refurbishing. And I understand our wish list is that you would take only people from the community, but we understand federal law and you cannot discriminate. So thank you so much.
Any other questions, comments? Can I have a motion to approve the item?
I make a motion that we approve the item, adopt the resolution of the successor agency, former redevelopment, and yes, accept it as written.
Staff recommendation does not include anything about the interest payment.
Would you like to add?
Well, if that's where we're heading, it needs to be in the recommendation. If that's where we're heading, it needs to be in the recommendation and not just kind of floating around in the staff report.
I agree. Would you like to
I would like
adopt the resolution with the addition of waiving the interest as recommended in the staff report, or is it discussed in the staff report?
Yes.
And we will get that resolution amended if it passes.
And a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Councilmember Lodge, second by Mayor Pro Tem Krupa. We'll do a roll call. Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Lodge.
Yes.
Councilmember Males.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa.
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0.
We will now move on to city council and staff reports. I will start with Council Member Clark.
So just about all these guys on here I've been to, but I'm going to, for the sake of, you know, the Z's, snoozing. I don't want to put it on snooze, but I watched the Planning Commission. They're busy with their thing. League of California Cities, we all were just at Murrieta Hot Springs. Water Master Board, that was a very interesting time. And that is to do with the 3 basins that the water level underground, and I learned a heck of a lot. Thank you, Noah, and thank you, Linda, for that. WRCOG, they're looking at a new set of speakers coming up for WRCOG. Last I heard, Tony Hawk was going to be the speaker. They're still negotiating. Hemet Youth Council, they're up and running. They went up to the Mesa and saw what was to see. But I do want to interject something. City manager and I were on a conference call. Well, actually, he had a picture. I did not have my picture because I'd been out in the sun. But we talked to Southern California air quality. And back when the warehouses were hotly described and heated discussion, I called them several times to get information. And they're very forthright and very informational. And I did happen to say to the guy at the time, where is the closest sensor? Turned out Riverside and Moreno Valley are the sensors. There's also one in Temecula. I said, wouldn't you like to put one in Hemet? Because we're up against the basin here of mountains. We have purple up on our city hall. And how about that? And so they are on it. They actually are looking, they want us to find some city-owned property. They're enthusiastic about it. They will go ahead and take some data. And we talked about the different qualifications for the city or for the parcel. It's very interesting, but hopefully good things will come from that. Number one being the air quality of Hemet and San Jacinto, especially with all of the warehouses proposed in Moreno Valley. So that's mine. Thank you.
Councilmember Lodge?
I'm not at this time.
Councilmember Males?
What? Okay, we all will be at the California Cities Convention or Conference Expo in October 8th through the 10th in Long Beach. I'm going to let Linda Krupa do the WRCOG deal here. Veterans Memorial Etching at Gibble Park. The City of Hemet offers a Veterans Memorial Etching program which will allow families to apply to have the name of an eligible veteran permanently engraved at the Gibble Park Veterans Memorial. To participate, applicants must complete a form available on the website that includes details such as veteran's name, service branch, rank, war conflict, etc., whether they were killed or missing in action, served in a war zone, or died due to the PACT Act illness, proof of military service and residency requirements. The selection for the etching is twice a year. The City Council reviews it, and we go forward from there. At this time, it doesn't state which holidays that we're doing this on, but I'm pretty
Veterans
sure
Day.
it's Veterans Day
Veterans Day,
and
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day. So if you're interested, if you have a family member that has passed and was in war conflict, please go on the website and fill out the information for your loved one. Thank you.
Good.
Now I'm up. Last night at the Cal Cities meeting, our government liaison talked about AB 98 and that, quote, they accepted all of the amendments that have been presented on AB 98. What exactly that meant, I don't know. Nobody got into real specifics. But one thing Jesse did mention that was that part of that means that any things connected to warehouses, changes that a city would make could be done by ordinance, not by a general plan amendment. So I'm sure we're going to be getting more updates on exactly what that means coming from Sacramento. RTA has, their ridership continues to increase, and let's see, what are they doing in Hemet? Okay, we have awarded 16 bus stop locations to receive site improvements, including shelters, benches, and trash cans in various locations. And specifically at the Hemet facility, a change order has been released to provide architectural and engineering services for 6 additional electrical vehicle charging stations. And also they are going to be refurbishing and expanding the employee parking lot because what's the word I'm trying to think of? Work is expanding and more people, they're estimating another 50 employees that are going to be coming to the Hemet location. So for RCA, the Western Riverside County Regional Conservation Authority, Councilmember Clark was not able to go to their workshop, so I went, and it was probably the best meeting I have ever been to for the RCA. We received a draft action plan for the multi-species habitat conservation plan, strategic improvement assessment and action plan. And this came about almost a year ago because of the way in which RCA was being forced into purchasing land for conservation because of complicated and confusing language in the actual MSHCP. So they hired this firm to do this assessment and action plan, thinking that the reason behind all of the angst on RCA's part, property owners' part, and developers' part was a process that we call the Hans process, which is where if an endangered species is found on your property, you have to go through another regulatory process to determine whether or not you can actually develop your property. Well, this report came out and said it's not the Hans process, it's everything else connected with it. So we had very frank conversation on what to do, and part of it I think is really refreshing. It is to look at how appraisals are made on conservation land if an endangered species is found on your property. Also to urge the RCA to open public access to some of the trails and create educational opportunities on conserved lands. Because right now, if a property is purchased by the RCA, it's basically fenced and nobody can access it. So a lot of conversation about it, and one of the points I made that whatever goes forward on this without opening the MSHCP,
that it needs to be a win-win for both the property owners and for conservation. So going through that, they are making headway, continuing conversation, and Connie, you will be part of that. But I do urge you, if you're at all interested in how the RCA conserves land and why, the report that came out is only 50 pages long. It's easy reading. It talks about why areas are conserved and the linkage between different properties so that there's a corridor for wildlife. Also, what was approved was the recommendation to add the Crotchet's bumblebee as a covered species. When the MSHCP was created back in 2003, maybe, Riverside County, Western Riverside County was very forward-thinking and actually added a list of 146 possible endangered species. Unfortunately, this little Crotchet's bumblebee was not one of them. And to get that started and to work with the state and federal agencies, estimated cost to add this little bumblebee to the endangered species is going to cost $650,000. Wow. And I have mixed feelings about the MSHCP, but it has worked. It has allowed development to continue. But sometimes you wonder at what cost to property owners and cities. So one other thing, at SCAG, I had a great presentation on the Olympics coming to LA and Oklahoma City and how cities can benefit from it. And the conclusion from all of us that are not in Orange County or LA County was that we're going to be impacted in a negative fashion. There you go. That's all.
Thank you. On September 4th, Councilmember Mills and I attended a homeless ad hoc committee meeting right here in the library. It was very informative, and as you know, we got a grant about a year or so ago for the San Jacinto River Bottom. That's going to help the city of Hemet and San Jacinto and the river bottom. And the Riverside County is working with a new company called Impact. And they had 2 dynamite speakers that came and told us of their success in major cities in the U.S. And we are going to work with them. And they just have had wonderful results. And we will be in partnership with them pretty soon. And it was very informative, very positive, and we are really hoping for good things working with this company. So that was a really good meeting that we had. Arts and Culture Ad Hoc, the city is, we want a calendar of events. We want people to know what's going on in our city. And we are working with a company called Artopolis. And again, it's been successful in many, many other cities. And it would be a great asset for our people to know what is going on in our city and just all kinds of fun things and informative meetings and such. So we may be on board with this before too long, and we're pretty excited about it, so that's good. And speaking of fun things, Ramona Bowl is making a comeback. It's been kind of quiet for a while, so I actually went to the 80s rock and roll concert. It was fabulous. The people were rocking out. They were just having a wonderful time. There was like over 2,500 people the last I heard, and it had all kinds of great reviews on social media. And even the band chimed in and said, "You guys were awesome." I mean, they were thrilled with the audience, so that was really good. And also they started the Ramona Marketplace. Now, Birtland Ranch is no longer at their usual place that they would have their market. So once a month right now, they're coming to Ramona Bowl. And the next one will be on September 13th, and it's from 5 to 10 p.m. So come on out. They're gonna have like food trucks. What all do you have there, Linda?
Food trucks and vendors.
Vendors.
And music.
Yeah. Music too, so that's good, yeah. And then they're going to have a heavy metal concert on September 20th. Now, the rock and roll one had 4 bands, the cover bands, of course, and they were pretty darn good. So this one is going to have 6 bands. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know. And the other band played till 10 to 10 because, you know, they were going to kick us out of there. So this one will be a nice long concert, I'm sure. And, you know, the tickets are only $10 pre-sale and $15 that day, correct? Yeah. And the parking is $5. But come on out, support the bowl. And, of course, we want to mention Boo at the Bowl. It's going to be a weekend earlier this year, which is great. So it'll be October 24th, 25th, 26th. It'll be an opportunity for the kids and the parents to dress up and come out and have some fun. So there's a lot happening in the city, and we are looking forward to some really good events that the city is helping sponsor. So with that, I will toss it to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll pick up on the music theme and just pitch our Hemet concert series at Mary Henley Park. We launched our first concert last Thursday. The next one will be this Thursday. The fun begins at 5. The music starts at 6. It'll run through about 8 p.m. We have vendors, we have food trucks. It'll be a lot of fun. The band this week is going to be Freddie Fender and the Little George Band, 2 different classic rock bands. So if your family is looking for a free opportunity to spend some time on Thursday night, we can actually promise much cooler weather. We're looking at about 75 degrees at 6 p.m., so it should be really nice. And then just a second plug for a community cleanup that will happen on Saturday, September 20th. You can sign up and volunteer at justserve.org.
Thank you. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned to the next city council meeting on September 23rd, 2025. Thank you for joining us tonight. And now we will go to closed session again.
And
Thank
then,
you.
Mayor, just a note on that. I don't anticipate having anything to report out of closed session. However, if there is publicly reportable action out of closed session, we will include it as part of a written report in the next city council agenda. So there's no need for the public to wait around.
Thank you. I got an update on my thing. Oh, I didn't use my gavel, did I?